the crowd was literally rabid. That dude, he's got such amazing intensity. And you're right, the contacts do make him look like a second-rate Sub-Zero. But aside from that, if you were to get rid of those contacts, he's a guy that I think definitely has a future. I got to tell you, Joe was very upset with the Noam Dar versus Travis Banks match. And watching it, is it me or did that match just feel like it went on forever?
Yeah, it was actually quite long for the opener. I thought a couple of the matches they were trying to stretch out a little too much, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel Noam Dar. I'm just not. I'm not into it. Whatever character he's trying to do with it just doesn't work for me. And the match didn't work. But I mean, it was a well worked match, and the crowd was into it. But yeah, it wasn't. That was not the best choice for an opener. I'd say. I really actually I thought if they put the 3-way tag team match on as the opener, I think that might have been the way to go with it, to be honest.
Yeah, the crowd would have been even hotter than they were. And I agree with you about Dar. I mean, no disrespect to the guy, but I've had a lot of trouble getting into his matches. The most memorable thing I can remember is I think he had a storyline with Alicia Fox at some point. That's the most memorable thing from Noam Dar. And that's not good. If that's what I remember, that's not good.
Yeah.
Now, main event, you said the main event was what it was. It was damn near 50 minutes. It was a hell of a match between two. I mean, Tyler Bate, part of Mustache Mountain. Everybody loves him. Walter is your mobile, better working 2019 Andre the Giant kind of figure. How does that match stack up against other matches this year that you've put in that 5-star realm?
Oh yeah, it's a unique type of match compared to some of the other ones in that same realm. I mean, most of them have been done by Johnny Gargano this year. He's kind of had a stranglehold on my star ratings, but I really liked it because it was a throwback to like the older style. It was very much in the mold of a Sting Vader match with the big guy throwing around the little guy, but the little guy keeps coming back and getting the hope spots and doing the power moves. It was really different. That's what I really love most about it. It was just not the kind of thing that you're seeing out of these guys. Like, Walter's not going out there and doing dives, right? Like Walter doesn't care if he entertains you or does dives. Walter's out there to work and get the job done. And it's what I really admire about his matches as well. So there's just no wasted motion on him. Everything he does has a purpose, and everything he does flows together. And it's like one thing leads to another thing, and then usually it results in more pain for the other guy. And just, he's not out there doing anything, superfluous or like a Seth Rollins, going out and doing 3 dives in a row or anything like that. And, nothing against Seth because Seth's a fantastic worker, but it's really kind of a shame that Walter is kind of confining himself to Europe for the time being here, because I think he'd be a fantastic addition to the US, but better for NXT UK, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic comparison you made between Sting and Vader, because growing up, I was such a WCW guy growing up, and the Sting and Vader matches were some of my favorite. And Vader and Walter, I don't know why I haven't put it together until right now, but those guys, that's a great dynamic. And I would agree with you in terms of what his potential is outside of the NXT UK realm. And that's something, I don't know. Yeah, I can picture him going to NXT, but I can't picture them kind of getting behind him on, one of the quote unquote main shows. He doesn't seem like a Vince guy to me. He's a guy that, they would push. They have their monster in Braun Strowman, and I think they're okay with that. But to bring him into NXT, which it kind of seems like they're doing that now. They had the forgive me her name, challenge Shayna Baszler for the title on NXT last week. So part of me wonders if there's going to be, now that their NXT is going to be going to USA, if they're going to be bringing in some of the, they're going to have to introduce more people, I guess, to the NXT roster. And if they do, count me in for Walter. He's a guy that I would love to see over here. And, with Pete Dunne as well coming over, I think there's going to be more crossover to get as many eyeballs as they can on the show. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I really think it would be beneficial, honestly, to merge the two brands together at this point now, the UK and then the regular NXT. I think they need a way to expand the show out to an hour now, and really they share a lot of audience on both of the shows. I know Walter has expressed no interest in coming over to the US. He's basically said outright he's just going to stay in Europe and do his thing over there. But I mean, like, there's a lot of the top guys from NXT UK, like the British Strong Style guys, they just fit in perfectly in NXT already. And, obviously, like Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne are known entities to the main NXT audience and are crazy over as it is. And they've already been NXT Tag Team Champions. So, I mean, yeah, it's really, there's not a huge amount of point in maintaining separate brands between the two of them at this point now.
Yeah, and that's a good point about Dunn and Bate. And before we get to the AEW show, real quick, do you think they're going to be able to sustain the momentum, the WWE that is, with NXT going to USA? It's going to be a 2-hour show. Do you think they're going to be able to sustain the momentum they have putting together? They only have a 1-hour show right now, and it's taped, and they have more, I guess, time to edit and things like that. Do you think it's going to be that much of a difference when they go to 2 hours?
Boy, I don't know. It might be rough. The things I don't really watch the regular NXT show that much. I mean, because as a TV show, it's not really vital. It's mostly a lot of basic squash matches and some promos and stuff. But the thing that NXT has already done really great, especially with the takeover shows quarterly, is they've basically made it so you don't need to watch their own weekly television. Like they do such an amazing job of recapping things on takeover that you could pretty much just jump into that and they'll get you up to speed with all the characters and the issues and everything like that as a self-contained thing on a takeover show. And the TV show itself is kind of almost unnecessary in a lot of ways. So there's going to be some adjustments that are going to have to be made there from Triple H going over to more of a weekly continuous format. And I don't know, it's going to be the Wild West on Wednesdays. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said what you said about really not having to watch the weekly show, because I feel the same way. And there's so much wrestling right now. It really is the kind of era when you could pick and choose. Last week I did watch, and they had Dijakovic versus Keith Lee.
I just call him Dijak. I'm so sick of that name. God.
Every time I call him
Dijak.
Yes, every time I call him Dijak, Joe corrects me. But Dijak versus Keith Lee was a great match. And in the main event, they had the Street Profits, who, I already feel terrible for them based on what they have to do on Monday nights, lose to the Undisputed Era, which I was fine with. But that kind of show, that's one of the rare ones, like you said, for the most part, it is those extended squash matches and Mia Yim beating up somebody, and a good closing segment.
The thing as well with the positioning on the WWE Network is that when something like a Keith Lee versus a Dijakovic match happens, and it's this amazing match, then it's guaranteed I'm gonna get an email 5 minutes later. Somebody be like, you have to go watch NXT right now, and then it's like, okay, well then fine, I'll go watch NXT, right? Like it's a pretty much a perfect system. I don't have to watch the show, and if something does happen, then somebody's going to tell me about it, and I just go watch it. It's not really a conditioning thing where you have to watch the weekly TV show, and that might be NXT's numbers are relatively low on the WWE Network, is what everybody's always said. So it might be a bit of a challenge to kind of condition people to start watching the product as a weekly thing.
Do you think that by them bringing over some of the quote unquote main roster guys, they're going to try to find a way to combat that?
That might be part of it. Yeah, I know there's a lot of main roster guys who want to go to NXT. To be honest, I mean, there's lots of people who aren't having much going on the main roster, and it would probably be better off going down there anyway. So that could definitely be something that would help a lot, if only because they do have the experience doing the live TV show every week, and they can lend their experience to that.
Sure. Michael Kanellis and Maria are just two that come to mind right away. I mean, Maria was saying on her Instagram yesterday, she's like, she tried to get to NXT. They just, for whatever reason, they refused to do that. But I think those are two people. I mean, you could even put Maria and Mike right into the Undisputed Era for me. I mean, it's just so much room for so much possibility. And with 2-hour show, it's going to be a lot of television to fill for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I say, it's going to be the Wild West. Who knows? I'm kind of interested to know, but it's kind of funny thing is that they haven't announced a TV deal for either show up here in Canada yet. So I don't know if NXT is going to be airing on a Canadian TV station, and we don't know if AEW is going to be airing on a Canadian TV station.
Really? There has been no news on a Canadian? Wow, that I didn't know. So, yep. I mean, what happened? So I guess... so the WWE is going to continue to show the NXT on the network on Thursday. So that's going to be your only source of NXT. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the presumption would be that NXT airs on Sportsnet 360 up here in Canada, which is the same channel that carries Raw and SmackDown. However, they frequently show hockey games on Wednesday nights. Like, that's one of their regular things. So, I mean, there might not be space for it on Wednesdays. And I mean, if I have to watch it on Thursday, then it's, no big loss, but it just seems like it would be a little bit of a lost opportunity if they didn't find a way to air it in opposition to AEW, wherever they end up.
Yeah, and of the AEW show as well. That's ECW got such a boost when they became more readily available to Canada. So I think that would be a market they would both want to tap as quickly as possible, especially with this.
Oh yeah, no. Cody has said that they're trying to get into Canada to do something. The presumption is that it would end up on TSN, which is the rival of Sportsnet in Canada, the other major sports station that's kind of aligned with ESPN in the US, but they have not made any announcement yet, and there's very few other options that they go with. Like, there's Fight Network, which is kind of where ROH and New Japan on Access air up here, which is like a very high on the dial premium channel that not many people have, and also Impact, I think, airs on there too, if I'm not mistaken, because they own that. So that might not be a good fit, because obviously Anthem doesn't want to necessarily air a competitor on their own channel. So
sure.
I'm not really sure what's going to happen.
I mean, and we're 3 weeks away or 2 weeks away from
3 weeks away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't even know the name of the show yet.
Oh, that's true. What was it? Wednesday Night Dynamite, I think, was being tossed around. Who knows? I don't think. I'm sure it's going to be revealed on a future Being the Elite. Yeah. And listen, speaking of AEW, we sat through about 4, almost 5 hour show, including the pre-show on Saturday night. The pre-show wasn't much. It was Jack Evans and Angelico versus Private Party. I do like Private Party. I mean, these guys seem like they have the charisma. They have a future in the AEW tag division. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, they look good. Apparently, I was spelling Mark Quinn's name wrong, so people were on me about that a little bit, but they didn't really give you any graphics to explain that. So, which is that's another another minor problem with AEW. I find is they don't do a really great job of explaining who any of the characters are. But Private Party, they made a good showing. Boy, Jack Evans is having quite a renaissance in AEW, though, isn't he? Like, I'm kind of surprised, because he hadn't heard his name around forever, and then him and Angelico, escaped from Lucha Underground, and they seem to be just out there having a ball. Just, doing opening matches and pre-shows and stuff, and
just having
they're
fun.
Getting over and doing things, just having fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, compared to what Jack Evans was doing, in Ring of Honor 15 years ago, it's definitely a far cry, but I think in a better way.
Exactly.
Honest. And
I think the other pre-show match was the Women's Battle Royal, and I got just like I watched a little bit of it, but I got like just scathing hatred emails about it, telling me, that I should watch it and tear it to pieces because it was a botch-filled, terror thing. But I don't know. I watched a little bit. I didn't really notice anything too horrible with it, but I wasn't really paying that much attention to it, to be honest.
The only thing that really stood out to me was when Nyla Rose almost killed Priscilla Kelly, and she dropped her flat on the outside instead of on the other girls that were on the outside. So that was a scary spot. But yeah, I also saw bits and pieces of that. What did stick out to me early in the show was, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, they have such a bright future. I'm such a fan of these guys.
Yeah, which is funny, because I hated Austin on Big Brother when he's on there, because I'm like, it's everybody always makes fun of me because I'm like one of the world's biggest Big Brother fans. And yeah, it just blew my mind
so is Taz. Taz loves Big Brother, and he always talks about it. So you're in good company.
Oh, that's good to know then. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it blew my mind because I'd been talking to my friend about it, and I'm like, oh man, this Luchasaurus guy. How come they, WWE didn't ever jump on this guy? Like, how did AEW get them? And he's like, no, he was Judas Devil in NXT, and I'm like, what? Oh shit, that's Austin from Big Brother. Are you kidding me? Like, oh god. Like, so my wife, but however, I will say that was actually an interesting thing, because then that made my wife interested to want to watch. Because she was, we watched Big Brother together, right? And like, she was like, "What? That's Austin? No way!" And she wanted to see him, and obviously, and of course, like Luke Perry's son on there too is another hook in there. So they've got this really interesting mainstream hook for fans to get in there with this tag team who are really over. So it's it, they got something, and then of course they lost their match, which is just like I don't even know what to do with that anymore. But yeah, no,